Thank you for joining me. We have a very special guest today. We have Nalie Agustin. She is a cancer advocate, public speaker, social media influencer, and now a best-selling author, all while still thriving with stage 4 metastatic breast cancer, which she was originally diagnosed with 8 years ago. So Nalie, thank you very much for taking the time to join me for this interview.
Thank you for having me.
So for those who may not know about your journey, can you give me a brief recap about what your journey with cancer has been like?
It's been a long journey. I was diagnosed in 2013 at 24 years old. And that's when I began my blog, Nalie.ca. I found it very therapeutic to just release my thoughts through writing. And so I started writing a blog in 2013 and just being really public and open about how I felt. And initially it was really because I wanted to update my big Filipino family and not have to repeat myself 10,000 times to everybody. And so I felt like a blog was like, you want to know how I feel? You want to know what my treatments are? Just read Nalie.ca. And that's how it started. And little did I know that there was a huge community out there of young women, because I was diagnosed at 24, that were diagnosed with breast cancer too. And they say it's really rare that in your 20s you're going to have breast cancer. So I felt very alone and isolated. And from there, people found like they could relate to me because often when we speak about cancer, we speak about the elderly. And so that's how my blog picked up. And in 2013, I was just diagnosed with an early stage breast cancer. But unfortunately, I had a recurrence in 2017, and it was a stage 4 diagnosis when it spread to the lungs. And I continued to advocate nevertheless. I just feel like it was always within me. But it was in 2020, unfortunately, when the metastasis went from lungs to the brain. And that was a very traumatic time. And that being said, for the first time in like 7 years, I decided to disconnect and to really take care of myself rather than, devote my time to advocating and helping others. I really needed to have that boundary and take a step back. And in doing so, because I was writing because it was therapeutic, I continued to write. And I wrote in my diary, but for myself. And when it felt right, I decided that it was time to update my community who have been there for me for, at that point, 7 years. And, I consider my community my friends, and I made a lot of friends online. So I felt like, it was only right to let them know what was going on after having taken the entire summer off. And so that's how I started updating people through my diary posts, which was all captions on Instagram and Facebook, and bringing people back to like the crazy year of 2020. And after doing so, I realized people connected with the stories, connected with the captions. And then that's how I came up with this. Yay! You have it. It's a little blurred out in your screen. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, I see it. Yeah. And this is my journey from 2020 to 2021, which was the craziest probably time out of the 8 years. But
I'm gonna jump in here because that's, I mean, absolutely, it gives me goosebumps. I know your story. I'm familiar with it. I followed you online. We spoke alongside each other at We Day, and I still get goosebumps when I just think about your journey. And the best thing I can do is just send you so much love and healing.
Thank you. Thank you.
So tell me, how did you find the time to write a book?
Well, see, that's the thing. I feel like it all happened so organically and naturally because it was never the intention. The intention was to kind of record and document the lessons that I was learning. It was my way of transforming something negative into something positive. What was this trying to teach me? That's what I was trying to figure out for myself. And in doing so, when I shared it through captions, it was kind of teaching others too. And even people without even a cancer diagnosis. It It was really just these profound life lessons. And so because it was a collection of my captions, it literally was like, you know what, I think I have something here. And I just decided to put it together. But of course, in a way where kind of like how I write, it's very poetic, it's very like it's not just a memoir. There's like a bit of poetry in there. And so I got Camac Studio, which are my friends, but also the most incredible graphic designers, editorial designers, to help me design it the way I had envisioned it. So the book is also kind of like a diary, a poetry book. And so it's very unique, and I feel like it participates in the emotions that are felt when you read the cap. Like it's not just like social media captions anymore. It has a feeling now that it's in tangible paperback.
I love it. I love it. And so on your website, I was captivated by a quote that you shared. And you said, in life, you can't control what happens to you, but you can choose how to react to it. How have you used that mantra while dealing with the ups and downs of your health?
Well, there's so much that I can't control, especially when it comes to the diagnosis, right? But it's all that really matters is how you respond to it. It's really your attitude. You do have control over that. And over and over again, I've had to let go of what I don't have control and really take control of what I can. And that's what I mean by that. So, for instance, I'll do a scan and I'll have no clue what the results will be, but I'll have control over what I do during that wait, right? It's either I hide under my bed sheets and cry all day, or, I spend time with my family and I visit my little niece and she makes me happy and we play games and I just end up laughing, because at the end of the day, you do these scans because you're hoping you want to live. So why aren't you living? That's how I see it.
That's so powerful for everybody, right? Irrespective of if you have a diagnosis or not. And that brings me to my next question, which is, you're in a phase of life when so many would just go quiet on social, not sure what they're going through. And like you said, just want to hide under the covers. What motivates you to not do that?
I think, again, it has to start with you, right? It has to start with something that you feel called to do that makes you feel good. Because I wouldn't encourage everyone to do it if it makes them feel like if it gives them anxiety or makes things worse. I think everyone knows themselves. You have to really go within and see what makes you happy and what helps you. And to be honest, it really helped me to let it out, because if not, I just feel like I'm such an emotional person and things get like really blocked and stuck if I don't. And when I release it, I just feel like I can breathe again. So I think my number one answer is it helped me exhale and breathe. But then, of course, my main why is how much it has helped other people. And knowing that and having that purpose just it makes everything I've been through make sense, if that makes any sense. It just makes it worth it. Like all the pain, everything I've been through, it's like, okay, at least by me sharing, I'm helping somebody.
Well, speaking of helping somebody, as a Filipino Canadian woman, what impact would you say your role as a thriver, a social media influencer, and now a best-selling author, what impact do you think that's going to make for the next generation of Filipino girls?
You know what? I feel really proud to be like a Filipino Canadian sharing my story, because growing up here in Quebec, very rarely do we see faces of other women of other ethnicities, especially when it comes to breast cancer. A lot of people, like, we tend to be a little bit more shameful about it sometimes. And I feel like even just I represent a community that like would remain more quiet usually. But no, I feel like having come out and shared my story, it just gives women a voice and permission to just be and just live no matter what they're going through, and express themselves, and not be ashamed. You're not your diagnosis, you're not your struggles. You are you, and you should be proud.
You touched on something that's very important and it's very close to my heart, right? Which is diversity. So why does diversity matter?
Diversity matters because it's so important to feel like you can relate to somebody, that you can, the people that you look up to, the opportunities that are out there, seeing someone else that represents you, or seeing someone that kind of looks like you, it makes you feel like you can do it too.